I know that. Neither are
Come
you.
here more.
But you're nowhere near either.
Come here.
You gotta turn around too.
Huh?
You gotta turn around too, honey.
I don't have to turn around.
You're not even there. All they can see is your arm.
That's okay. That's all they need to see.
Oh, wow. You hear it, folks, right here. My hunt. Oh yeah, there we go. Alrighty. So we're doing it like this again, like the old-fashioned days. This time I'm not with Zombie Fan. This time I'm with my girlfriend, so it doesn't look weird. So it is the day before.
He's just dragging my ass when I'm trying to get over a cold.
Yeah, she is unfortunately sick. Forgive her, but she's willing to do this because she was interested in Godfall and other things like that. So, big news. I found out through another YouTuber. I can't remember her name, but she was talking about. She was talking about how the Japanese YouTubers, people in Japan who are YouTubing, they got first hands on the Ps5, and they were able to show that live on their channel. Well, not really live. They went in a couple days before, right? They went in a couple days before, and they were able to record themselves playing, and then later they were able to then walk out of there with the footage and then upload it later. There was about 8 of them. I think only 2 more showed 4 games. 2 of them were brand new. And they're on YouTube right now. There are a list of them. They're still showing them.
It's only in Japanese though.
Yeah, it's strictly in Japanese.
But you get to see the games.
So this is the October 4th that everybody was been talking about, excepting to see the game, but not have they're expected to see the game. Just, I can hear myself, and that's annoying. I know that, guys. Sorry for the echo. It's just really, really bad. I know.
Our mics don't like each other. That's why.
I guess not. No, but in reality, we've had. They were there. They were in play. Japanese was only in Japanese. No one knew about it. Other YouTubers have been talking about this October 4th thing. Sony was revealing, and I don't think they were very limited on the details on that. And I looked up Sony. Nothing was being aired today. I looked up everything else, and then I finally randomly found this woman who talked about the YouTubers, and shout out to her because she was awesome. She was able to get the list and an article of Japanese players able to play on the last day. They've been playing since the 24th of September, but they've only been playing PS4. But they were able to test some of the games on the PS4. But the last day of their little test there, beta, they said that they could play them. They could finally play the game on the PS5. So, and they showed what was it called? They showed Godfall. They showed a lot of them showed Godfall and
Demon's Souls? No, they didn't show Demon's Souls.
No, they showed
it was the Astro one.
Astro Playhouse.
Playroom
or something like that. Astro's Playroom, which is awesome. So unfortunately, because of copyright issues, I did not get the footage, and I don't plan on doing. And that's just because I didn't want to do anything that would get me in trouble. Well, I mean, I think even though YouTube is YouTube, I think Japan has different rules on how they could copyright, and I'm not getting in a war with Japan. I love Japan. Keep sending me good stuff. But yeah, I think, but a lot of it was everybody was waiting for, I think hoping to see that they'll be able to see the UI today, and the user interface. If you guys don't know that, that's the main interface we use when we go into the console.
I need to play this game.
You need to play it? Yeah, it's pretty cool. I told you to get it. It's free.
I know, I will.
But yeah, so, as I was saying, we were able to watch them at 4 a.m. this morning, right? Well, technically I woke up late, and I didn't get to see it a little later, but luckily I still did. As I said, this has been very radar under. Not even, there was not one American person covering, able to play the Jeep live today. And that's just kind of messed up, but it is Japan, folks, so I mean, this is where we get the stuff from anyway.
They normally get their stuff first before us anyway.
Yeah, they do. I guess they do.
Anything that has to do with consoles or anything like that.
They get access to
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And that makes sense. But yeah, hopefully now there is talk that they were able to, like, hopefully, like, American YouTubers are going to be able to reach out and show the PS5 soon. But yeah, as of right now, everybody was hoping that, I think everybody was thinking that Sony was going to release some stuff. Reality, it was just like 8 YouTubers from Japan, and they all really, it looked like they couldn't even use the interface because they didn't let you go from one game to the other or like show you getting them into the game. I think the game had to be loaded first, and that's when you, every time you went to go see a clip, I watched like 4 of them, and no matter what you did, all of them had to go into, all of them have to have the game open first, like what you're seeing now, and then they all had to have, they all were able to record them playing it, but they were not able to like go back out into the main menu, show how fast it was to switch from one screen to the other, show the load time, show anything. So really, we're still in the same situation.
I didn't know they could explode.
Oh yeah, you can make people explode. That's how you kick them out, so you can get the ball. Yeah, but reality is, okay, so we're all we're really able to talk about is today's graphics, which on YouTube, I mean, it looked better than the trailers, almost. I mean, a lot of people had to compress their videos, but they didn't have to compress much. This was like straight raw footage of YouTube, them playing YouTube straight from the PS5. I think they were actually recording their games on PS5, and then they were just able to upload it to their channel and then sign back out and unsign back in again. Because I think that's what they did, because it made sense, because it didn't look like, because always, you can't be recording, like here, like right now, I'm live, but I have to be in a game in order to be live through the PlayStation. So I think that was the same thing. I didn't think they went into able to record on their phones or anything like that. I think the only device they were able to record on was that, and then they were able to uplink it to their channel. And take it home and upload it on their computers later, and then swap out, or just keep it as that. So, yeah, but let's further ado, let's get into the graphics of it. So you watched Playroom, Astro Playroom, right? It was like, I think it was 7 minutes a piece that they did?
Yeah. Team blending and all that, his clothes today. I guess they didn't bother to call before they planned this? Anyway.
That's not, yeah, that's not any of this. Don't let that go. I'm not even gonna deal with that right now. I got an email and a voicemail I gotta listen to either for that. Yeah, so after that, oh shit. So let's talk about the Astro play. Put that away. We got viewers. Let's just watch Astro play.
Actual play.
Astro play.
Oh, Astro.
Yeah. Tell me about that. What you thought after watching the like 5 minutes that they only showed?
It looks like a fun game, like for kids.
Yeah, we played it in
VR.
VR, but you know what it's created for, right? It's to show you how to use the controller. Like,
yeah.
Take advantage of all the controller specs.
Mm.
I gotta say, there's a lot more unique things you can do now with that, with the robot. Him exploding is hilarious. When he dies, you see that he gets hit once, he just
didn't
explodes.
see that part.
He explodes, or he gets electrocuted. It's all bad. Poor little guy. So yeah. And then I think Sony did a surprise thing in it. Okay, so as you beat the levels, you can get to like the PS3, right? But then one of the games showed, you know, Uncharted, right? One of the games still bot charted on it instead.
Oh wow!
So it was a game that says bot charted 3 from PlayStation 3. And I was like, wow. And it shows him hanging from the cliff like freaking Uncharted. So it was pretty cool that Sony kind of added that, you know, added that in there, if it makes sense. I don't know. What did you think? What did you see? What did you see that?
I just mostly saw Godfall.
Oh, okay.
Well, you called me for Godfall.
Yeah. So what did you think about Godfall?
I saw the part where they showed like the other ones where it was the beginning and he fought some little minions or whatever little critters that was, and then after that I didn't see much of it afterwards.
Did you see the boss?
No, I didn't see the part where you said that if you die you have to start over again.
No, you don't start over. Like you just have to walk back and come back up again, like you would in League of Legends. Like I'm usually
you respawn where the last checking point was.
Yeah, pretty much. So
that's,
it's kind of like this Souls in a way.
That's
yeah.
almost every other game, isn't it?
No, before it used to not be that way.
Well, it's about saving your place, so.
Yeah, I mean, if
your respawns and your checking points are far away, well, you're gonna show up where the.
Yeah, it's kind of like you gotta.
It's not like what's that game where if you die you have to start all over.
You pretty much do. That's what Dead Souls is, or
Godfall.
Godfall is, and so is Dead Souls too. Demon Souls. I mean, what happens if you die? You have to start from the very beginning of your last checkpoint at the very beginning of the level.
No, I'm talking about the other game where you were saying that it would piss people off because if they died, they would have to start all the way from the beginning.
I think you misunderstood me. I think really what it is, they start from the level they are. So like when you play Demon Souls, let's say you get through like 3 different characters, right, and you're halfway through that level, and all of a sudden you die. You now spawn all the way back to the beginning of the level. But I think some of those characters are still dead, or you have to redo those characters again. So that's the issue of Demon Souls. That's why I got a lot of bad rap. But reality, people love the challenge. That's the reality of the challenge. You know what I mean? To show how good you really are. I can't jump today.
Get the ball, get the ball.
I gotta wait for it to pop up. Oh, he hit me. So, no, but in reality, what did you think of the graphics? It looked so smooth. To me, it did. I don't know. Maybe from watching the YouTube video, because we watched it, the trailer on YouTube, and some people were compressing their videos because that's all Sony could get. They got it from Sony, and then Sony had to compress it to get it to them. Then they had to compress it from their Sony websites, then compress it to their video, then recompress it for YouTube. So, you know, you lost a little bit of the graphics, but watching it in the full color that it is, what'd you think?
It was really good.
what I don't get is why Sony's so holding out on the UI interface. Why are we not getting accurate information? And Sony really needs to cover that. I think YouTubers are just, and people in general, are just really pissed off about that, because it's kind of like we're buying a console without knowing what the console's going to be.
You're buying blind, basically.
Pretty much. And it's like, okay, you're now coming out with, and then people are paying $400 for a console that can barely even handle 6 gigs of RAM or memory.
Aren't other sites paying 10 grand?
No, even then. The point is like, either you have you have Sony asking for a console for $500, and they could barely put a terabyte worth of RAM on there.
Yeah.
And we don't even have anything extra, anything to show. Sony hasn't showed anything since their last reveal of their console. Which, okay, but then again, you should already had the UI interface up and running. You should already had the base, you know, menu settings and shit like that set up almost. It shouldn't be like one more month to crunch everything.
Yeah.
And that makes me wonder if we're even going to get our consoles on launch day, because, not because there's no delivery and process, it's because they don't even have the UA software set up or any of the other shit that we're supposed to be able to use right now. That makes the PS5 this way. And now I see why people are like avoiding just buying it right now, because it's so bad.
Yeah,
like,
just
you're asking us to pre-order a console, you can't even guarantee us what we need for the games that are going to come out. Or even on launch day, you're going to slowly lose against Xbox if you're not going to launch it. And I'm sorry, but I'm not here to get like the sugarcoat Sony or Xbox. You know, I'm 100% biased on my reviews, and I'm 100%, you know, it goes for Nintendo as well. Like, I'm not gonna get paid. I don't want to get paid to have a certain, what do you call it? To have a certain say over what I had to say about your company. I'm not here for that. If you don't want to do that, I don't want your sponsorship anyway. I'd rather just cut it. But I'm not being sponsored, so let's just go there. I'm just making that very clear, and I'll make it very clear for you before I even get monetized. No matter what I do, it's not going to happen where I'm going to put content out there just because you're paying me for it. And make it... No. I care about the truth. And Sony needs to really back up what they need to do. Sony needs to really come out and say, okay, this is the UI interface. We had the PS4 interface announced sooner than this, I think. The PS4 interface was already shown in E3 before it even came out. And Xbox still beat them to the punch, but, you know, Sony doesn't have anything right now. And then they'll find out there's so much bullcrap that you guys are adding in, and I don't know. You have one working console to show YouTubers in Japan what it's like to play. You should have already showed the UI interface. You should have shown us how fast it was to boot up, because that's what you're claiming. That's your whole claim right there, is the fact that it boots up super fast, that there's no lags. And I mean, I think I'm watching an Xbox person yesterday. He said he switched from game to game within 12 seconds. I think that was the longest he had to wait, was 12 seconds. 12 to 16 seconds he was switched from one game to the other. Did you see that?
Yep, you showed me.
Yeah. It was insane. Like,
it was some kind of horror game that he was trying to switch into.
Yeah, he went from Silent Hill, I think he played another game to some other Resident Evil, and he didn't even lose his spot. He was still saved in that game. Like, that is the reality of it. He didn't have to save, but he was still logged right in there. He even know how to do it. The 12 seconds, really. He didn't cut it out. And for Xbox to have that already done, Sony should have already been done that. If that's what they were claiming to do when they first came out with their software. And for them to be this late, 7 weeks before launch, I don't think they're going to be ready by launch time. I think the launch date that they came up with was just a publicity scam just to make sure they got their money and to jump on Xbox, but they're not going to have other consoles, and I think that's really why they're telling people you're going to have to wait in certain areas because some of their consoles ain't even going to be ready in the first place, regardless of over buying. Your consoles ain't going to be ready. It doesn't sound like it is. And if you can show me a ready console with a UI, then change my mind. But I mean, I know a lot of YouTubers have them right now. You need to let them talk about. Even Xbox is letting them show a little bit of their stuff. Let them show it. Don't hide it. What are you trying to hide? Like, what's the point of you hiding everything? You're not. Microsoft can't steal it from you. Your shit's patent, so you know. This is the time where you need to be showing it. You know, that's just how that is. Yeah, but I don't know. Tell me what you think.
I mean, it looks like a really interesting console. It's just I wish they would give a little more than what they already gave.
Yeah.
Like I told you, it feels like you're buying blind because you don't know everything.
No, you don't. And you're expected to pay $500 for this console that could be worth maybe $300 at the door.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're not even offering good storage.
Yeah.
And your storage should have been easier, just simple. And I don't know. I get it that you want to future-proof it. That's great. But you're not really future-proofing it if you're not making it easy for consumers. You know, consumers are the ones that need to use it too, not just your dead people. So, yeah, that's great that they can mod it up with more memory, but it just doesn't make sense for me. But then, no, it was nice to see it in action. Actually see the controller in action, how it worked. They still offered the little squiggly thing. It's more interactive now.
Oh, is it?
So your little square thing that you have on your controller right here.
Yeah, this portion.
Yeah, that portion. It's more interactive, more useful. The response time for the controller is pretty cool.
You told me that it was faster.
It's really faster. I think some people are actually playing Call of Duty with it right now on the PS4, and it's actually being used for the PS4. And I remember getting I don't know, it's super fast. Like, it's almost like a Elite Control Pro 2 without paying for the Elite price. So that just shows a lot right there. I wonder if it's still going to give us that fast response finger time, because you notice how the reason why the PS4 has always had, when it comes to fighting games, always had a faster finger adjustment time is because the controller's smaller. It's meant for, you know, quick tabs and all that, and it's built for that. But now that they've widened it out, I don't know if they've widened it out the size of almost like a controller for Xbox, or they've widened it out to the size of the Pro controller from Nintendo. And I don't know. Even playing a Pro controller for Nintendo seems a little weird, trying to do fighting games on it. So that's going to be a unique thing to twist around. What else? Yeah, I don't know. But for what I've been hearing and what other YouTubers been hearing and what I've been really hearing and what I've been reading is that, yeah, Sony's going to have a great console. The question is, are they going to even get it done in time for the launch date because of all the stuff that they don't have? You know, and that's what scares me right now. I didn't start scaring that. I think it was yesterday that I said that. You know, before it was like, oh, cool console, let me go.
You were just all excited about it.
I think I was so caught up in the hype, I didn't even think about the fact that they haven't even shown the UI for it. And that's uncommon. I mean, to not show the interface or show what it can actually do, the console itself.
Yeah, it was mostly the excitement because they had been announcing it for the longest time.
Yeah.
You don't think about that stuff. You're just like, I need to save it, you know, for myself. I need to order it before there's none, or...
Yeah, exactly. And you were not even, you know...
You don't think about that.
You don't even think about, okay, well, what do we even know, you know what I mean? Yeah. And you know what? If they are coming up with a Pro, if the Pro has been confirmed, I may just upgrade my Ps5 to the Pro because I know that the...
How much do you think that's going to cost, though?
Well, I mean, normally when you go to GameStop, if you trade it, like right now, if I were to trade in this Pro right now, I get $250 off my PS5 towards credit. That's not bad. You know what I mean?
That's like half the price.
Yeah, pretty much.
Minus
so,
taxes.
that's what I was thinking about doing. I was going to talk to you about that if you wouldn't mind if I did that.
Your Pro?
I was trading in the Pro for the PS5.
Right.
You know, and then still have the PS4 anymore, but coming out with the fact that most of my games won't work on PS4. But I'm getting the disc drive, so it shouldn't really matter. Because I can just put any of these discs in there. Some of the games I may have to pay for an upgrade. I think Borderlands 3 I did. But, well, I don't know what, some of the games I have to, some games that I already have now, there's not a lot of them. And I think the only one I really got to pay for an upgrade is the, because I can always go back and buy a Pro later. You know what I mean? After, for collectors and nostalgia reasons, if I really need to. I mean, but right now it's just getting the PS5. You know, if it comes to time to shove, that $250 is going to save enough. So, but yeah, the only thing you guys really pay for is the update version of I wouldn't have to pay for anything besides Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, which I don't think I'm going to get the Ultimate until PS5 comes out anyway, Cold War. So, you know, I mean, that's just it. I'm not even gonna try to get it now. But if you have to pay for any of the games to be upgraded, I think it's like $10 more, $20 more for some of them. So it's not gonna be that bad. But most of the games I already have are free upgrades already. Like they're already backwards compatible. And if they're all digital, if they're all in digital software, then most likely, if I have digital copies of the game already, then they're already in the store. I can just download them from there because I already have the licensing for them. So, because I have the digital version, I can do that. Now, if you have the non-digital version, you're screwed with your PS4 games. You're gonna have to rebuy your PS4 games, and that's why I think everybody's pissed right now. But that makes sense. But if you have PS4 disc games, you can't like authorize your purchase through the store, obviously. So, but as I was saying, me buying blind and all that, yeah, I mean, I can go to GameStop right now, save $250, and actually get the PS5 sooner than I wanted to, paid off sooner than I want to, but I would have to sacrifice my PS4. So I can only do that like days before the PS5 comes out, like on my last Friday before it comes out. I may get lucky to do it, like right then and there, because then otherwise I won't have a PS4 at all. So, well, I would, it'd just be screwed up right now. Because I don't think I got any games that are downloaded, like any games that I have to worry about downloading. Again, all the games I have are on disc, so as long as I don't get rid of my games, I'm good. So it's not like I have to rebuy the games again.
Oh, he beat you.
Oh, did I put it in my own fucking shit?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, shit. That's what happens when you YouTube, guys. Oh, I got a lot of backlash for that one.
It's supposed to be that goal.
I saw that. I know.
Don't ever play soccer.
No, they just... I used to play soccer when I was a kid. What are you talking about? I used to be on a team.
When you were a kid?
Yeah.
At least you knew the difference then.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
So, no, but the reality is, I've had, yeah, we're just gonna leave that match.
I want to play. Let me play.
So, yeah.
So what do you do?
So you have to this is to jump and hit the ball, if you want to jump to hit the ball.
This one?
This one's, no, this one, X.
X?
This one's to, like, boost yourself if you get boosts. And this is a stair, and you have to use this to move the camera around a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit complicated.
Casual?
Yeah. And then there's center versus 3 versus 3. Yeah. But yeah, I was gonna say, like, let me get in this camera a little bit. What was this gonna say? The PS5 Even if it's on launch date, I just don't see
So
myself.
I just need to use this, this, and this.
Yeah. If it gets delayed, I'm not gonna be surprised. And I don't want to blame the retailers. I think honestly it has nothing to do with the chip. They need to show something, and I haven't heard anything.
I did it wrong.
So before I was interrupted, what was it that was
Sorry.
yeah, the Xbox interface. It was so smooth that I've seen it once before, back when it was like, I think another YouTuber showed it, and it was actually right. They actually literally, they weren't joking around with it. So, now playing some of the games on the PS5 that's coming out now.
Oh, I missed it.
You gotta jump. Sometimes you gotta jump and move around. See? Those things are your boosts. Oh, you already have it. There you go, see? But yeah, watching him play the PS5 was awesome today. It really was. I want to say that the gameplay is very smooth. I just wish they would have shown some games that would have introduced how fast the load times were going to be. And certain things like that. I think, honestly, that was one of the things that we just didn't have. And what is Sony going to do now? Now, as we know, I think some of the YouTubers have already discussed that they plan on trying to get more information.
There we go.
I think some actually YouTubers said that they can actually, supposedly after today, they can start showing some of their videos on Xbox more. Or PS5, I think it is. I don't think it's just Japan. So, I think Japan just did it because they wanted to be the first ones to do it. But I know plenty of people with their kids that are having no problem with it. And no problem at all. I mean, there's some new features. I'm wondering how the recording and how the streaming is going to work on the PS5. Because they said it's supposed to be better for streaming. Like, it's set up better for people when they're streaming and everything. And are we going to be able to, like, switch through games without cutting our stream? You notice that? Like, every time I got to switch a game right now, I got to cut from stream to stream. I can't, like, go to the main interface and stay on the interface. I got to actually cut from the stream. So I'm just wondering if that's going to still interfere. That's kind of why I like the capture card, because I didn't have to cut from that. You know what I mean? I could be on my home screen, showing people on my home screen what I have. I can show certain things. You know, I can pull up websites and still show them on my stream.
Nah, that was a straight
And
one.
I'm just wondering if, yeah. I'm just wondering if that's gonna work. What is it? But what they did with, I think I saw, what was it? The graphics for Assassin's Creed. And when you play Black Desert, it just makes Black Desert look so shameless. Like, literally, it looks like Black Desert's like a pre-game from like the 1990s. It just puts it that far to shame. So the graphics are really good.
Get it out of there, guys.
He was able to dodge and respond fast enough, but all we got to see was him actually playing the character, play one little boss, and then was able to leave. And it was a fast boss. It wasn't like,
There we go.
you know, so I don't know if Godfall is going to be more arena-based later on. I don't know. Destruction All-Stars. I know a lot of people are like upset about Destruction All-Stars, how it be portrayed right now. It looks bomb as hell. Like, I wish I would have known that was going to be a pre-orderable. Before I pre-ordered it, I should have just got it because it looks so badass. I mean, there's more to it. I think rumors were showing around that you could actually be on foot or in a car. And if you're on foot, you can use the top of the balconies and stuff to climb above, and then throw bombs down to the car so you can chuck them out. So that's good, and each person has like their own abilities or whatever, so that's pretty cool. So it's kind of like taking Fortnite and putting it with cars in an arena in like one little room, and it's hilarious. It's just gonna be one of those hidden gem games that I'm gonna just like really love.
Damn it.
Oh, Crash Bandicoot came out, and some people were testing it earlier this week. I think Dreamcast guy was really testing it, and you know, for someone who's Dreamcast guy, the reason why I talked about him a lot, and a lot of them Woods and all that, is because they're above 30 years old. And if you don't know anything about that, is that it's most of those guys have played that game when it was back on, what was it, PS1? Crash Bandicoot was back on PlayStation 1, and they know more about it because they were around and live around those times, being the gamer that they once were. You don't just, you know, I'm sorry, but you know, and you were talking, yeah, you may have played the old versions of the game and you're awesome, but most people don't realize back then technology was so low, the response time of the controllers were harder. You could play those games now, but you're not going to be playing them on a newer controller. You're going to be playing on a new controller with faster response times, and that's still sugarcoating the game. I assisted him. You assisted him.
Mm-hmm.
You hit him right on that, so you get the extra power.
Yep.
I'm surprised they didn't give you an assist though.
They did 50 points plus 50.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, in reality to that, I think, you know, when you come to those gamers, I'm sorry to say this, but if you haven't really played the original PlayStation 1, when it first came out,
No!
and you're talking about PS1 games, I really hope that you actually know before you bag on them, you actually know how difficult it is, which I highly doubt you do. That game was really difficult back in those days. Crash Bandicoot was difficult. It was really time-based. You had to be really pushing. Oh,
no.
You got lucky.
Yeah.
Use your circles to boost.
I know.
Oh, you guys want it. But Crash Bandicoot was really difficult for some players. I mean, it wasn't a game that you just beat easily. It was a game you tried 100%, and you won the 100%, like you said. Now that you're playing it, he said that they kept he told us that he kept the original, the company didn't go back and redid the story, kept the storyline the same. They've actually created a whole new storyline. So it's not the storyline from before. So you don't need the old games to understand what's going to happen in this game. So you got to go in this game completely fresh, like you have no storyline. And then he was talking about the what he's called. He was also talking about how Crash happened to have extra more characters. So now you're able to use the evil boss, you're able to use, and he has his own land, like, and his only power is like a sky jump or something, a speed sky jump or some kind of thing, and a ray gun that gives him platforms, turns him into platforms, so you can beat the levels. And then I think there's the alligator dude that can get like the little blower, like he has a vacuum. He can either jump and use the blower part to let it hover in the air a little bit longer, or he can suck up everything before he comes to it. So like all the apples and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But you get to use a lot of characters, and then he said that if you even complete the game, let's say you just beat the game, the story mode, there's like you can go back and there's like a different graphics mode or a different op mode, and there's like certain challenges you have to beat and redo again, and it's a lot harder, like it's on beast mode. But the difficulty stayed the same. Like they didn't make it trickery, like, you know how some games now, in order for you to beat it, they just trick them and manipulate the computer to just make it trickery so you don't lose every single time. They didn't do that. They really kept it to where you know, it's the same trickery. No, there's no hidden trickery. It's just difficult. I mean, you're dealing with the difficulty of the platform, so your skill's only going to get it through. So, like, somebody can't say, "Oh man, I can't beat this game," and then because you're just not good enough. At that point, it's just because they're not good enough. They need to practice a little bit more. You know what I mean? So it's not gonna. They can't use that excuse no more. Oh, this game's rat because I can't beat it. It's trickery, or it doesn't. Oh, this game's cheating, or bullshit like that. They can't claim that anymore because it's not gonna do that. So you really gotta know your skill. It gets harder as you go along. But he said there's like 5 different masks now. So like you're collecting masks, and these masks is what give you the powers. So you get like an ice thing. I think you can go to like a time warp thing where you can like summon that lets you go through different bridges and things like that. So yeah, I was watching him because I don't own the game, and I wish I did. I need to get that game. That was one of the games we were gonna get. Remember? But it's worth playing. I think he took like 6 hours to beat the game, and then another 12 hours just beating all the extra levels. Like there's fun levels that the kids can play, and it's multiplayer too on some of the extra levels. So yeah. Yeah, but a lot of the stuff for the PS5 is just coming out. Games are coming out better, guys. The console looks sleek as heck. It actually, when I looked at the console and it's standing up there, it looks so clean. It's like as clean as that, but without a whole bunch of cables coming out of it. Like, it's just perfect. I'm glad I got this thing because now I can actually have Xbox over there, PS5 right here, and it would actually look cleaner, you know. But yeah, I think honestly, out of the situation we're in right now,
thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Well, I was trying to save my PS4. My baby!
What baby? I'm the only baby you have.
That's my baby right there.
Wow, okay, I see how it is. This is what happens when I date you. This is why you're undateable.
Oh. No, but, in reality, I think we're really, I know personally, in my opinion, I'm upset with Sony at this moment. Not knowing everything about the PS5, and then coming up 5 minutes later and saying that we have less gigs. Certain games aren't going to be out this. I think, honestly, dude, like, it's not like I'm mad enough to not go buy it. I'm not going to be one of those guys like, oh, retro game, bam! You know, just let me just rat on them or just rant on them. No. I think Sony is a very good game console. I love Sony from day one. They were the first, besides Nintendo and Sega, before, you know, Xbox ever came in the feature. I mean, I would prefer Nintendo over Sony any day, any week, any day, any week, no matter what. I would prefer another Dreamcast to come out. That would have been awesome if they could make Dreamcast again, or Sega Genesis 16, 2020. That would be awesome. I mean, I'm just sad they don't have those games anymore, but honestly, for
I was close. We lost anyway.
Honestly, for the what do you call it? Oh, in this game you can win in 30 seconds. Trust me. Depends on who gets it though. Oh, that would have been you. They had that set up just right. The PS5 game is just not that clear. I mean, I don't know what they're waiting for. Maybe they're waiting to... They want to perfect everything. Maybe they just don't want... maybe they're having these restrictions because Xbox is having restrictions. I knew that. You hear that? Xbox are having restrictions too. They can't just show like maybe 3 minutes or 2 seconds or a minute and a half of what the Xbox can do. They can't like show longer than that. Or they're limited on how they go into certain things. So I think a lot of people are just not happy, and I don't blame them. The original Xbox, okay, I'll give you that. Halo on Xbox. I had the original Xbox. And don't get me wrong, I love Xbox too. I had Xbox. I always like to have all the consoles. As I said, bipartisan in LS. The original Xbox was a great game system at its time. When it came to Halo, really opened up to shooters. But that's what really Xbox was built around, was shooters. And a little bit of some role-playing games that Bethesda happened to have hands-on. And that's one of the great things. But the original Xbox had problems of its own. And just like any other console, they grew a lot from what they are now to what they've come to. But there is a few things that most people don't realize what Xbox has done. Xbox has a tendency over the last few years, and since they've ever came out, to really take a company who has like Sony.
He got in my way.
Yeah, okay. They created shooters, and that worked out because because when you had PS1 back in the day and Nintendo, there was not many shooter games out there. Everything was based on family gaming, rather it was fighting games or Sega was the only one that really pushed the line on fighting games and added not the family brand anymore when it came to fighting games like Mortal Kombat, because that was Sega. And I'm talking about in the early 90s. Early 90s, before 2000s, you had not many shooter games out there. PlayStation 1 was based on IPs of Final Fantasy, a lot of space playing games. Nintendo was based on, and that's because they were competing against Nintendo. Nintendo was based on family console. Yeah. Splinter Cell. Okay, yeah, and that's when, it wasn't until, as I said, back when the PlayStation 1 first came out, their first games really they focused on were games that were competitive against Nintendo and Sega. And that's why they were able to come up with a lot of fighting games and a lot of... PS2 came out with shooters, Splinter Cell, but it was a solo IP shooter game. It wasn't like an arena game. It wasn't until Halo came out on Xbox, and that's when Xbox had an IP for themselves that was solely based on what could brand their console. And their console was based on multiplayer shooting and being the idea out of going from family games into kind of going in and killing alien blood and making them mature. And that's what separated the PS2 and the PS1, or Xbox and the PS2. It wasn't until now, recently, and lately, that Xbox is actually, and I hate to say this as much as I love Xbox, they don't play fair when it comes to the gaming community. A lot of their stuff is they buy out things and they're claiming one thing when they don't. And I'm not just talking about Bethesda. They have bought out other companies and they've tried to grow their Game Pass, but in doing so, they've also killed other companies as well by doing that. They've killed a lot of developer companies in their runs. Okay, yes, and that's what separated them. But when PS3 came out and started pushing their IPs a little bit, Xbox was getting so bend-rabid that they had to go out and actually lose a lot of the stuff, and they wound up just hurting companies just to get what they needed. They started buying out certain things, or just purposely belittling the company of Sony before they could even do that. When Sony was a year-long round, dude, you gotta think about it. Sony, Sega, and Nintendo are the original OP battle. You're talking about console wars right now. You're talking about Sony, Atari, and Nintendo and Sega are the OGs of battle console wars. They are. There's no way around it. Xbox came in way later, They saw an opportunity. It's kind of like what freaking Bill Gates did when he decided to take over, what he did with Apple. Okay, if you guys don't remember what Bill Gates did, he literally put Apple in a bind. He literally freaking tried to bail out Apple, but he literally killed Apple. And he tried to bail him out later. It wasn't fair. And that's the mentality that Microsoft has always had when it comes to their competitors. If they could buy them out, they can get it. And that's why they've been trying to go in Japan so much, because they know that there could be bought out, but Japan has backfired on them when they realize that nobody wants their consoles because they know how corrupted the consoles are. Okay, and I get that. The Tony, there was some different, and just like any console generation before. Right now we have, who was it? Microsoft stabbing back, Sony stabbing back. I mean, Sony and Microsoft have been going at it for a while. They've been stabbing each other's back, but that's true. They did stab Nintendo, and Nintendo fired back. That's why the Switch is more popular now than both consoles, and it's still going to be before the PS5. And when the Switch Pro comes out, it's still going to be before the PS5. And that's when Sony even did make the mistake by trying to create the PS Vita and all that, just kind of keep up with Sony, Nintendo, and it couldn't. They're the OGs, and they're the reasons why, I'm sorry to say this, but they will always have a special place to know that that's the original gaming. Their game, back in those days, games were made based on how skilled you were. There was no computer manipulating the situation to make it to where the computer wins most of the time. You couldn't, there was no, if you were beating them too much or the computer thought it was struggling, it wouldn't try to recreate itself. You actually had a game that either you were good or you weren't. Games like, if you really want to go back to the shooter games, the first shooter game ever to come out was GoldenEye from Nintendo 64. And that lit up like crazy. So we have a lot. We even had like a lot of like 2D shooter games that was even back in those days. That was just prime time. But people, I'm talking about people now and Xbox now. What most games have come to now, and even some of the rewrites for some of these games, when they remaster them and stuff, they trick the computer into it and AI, and it makes it harder now. When I could easily beat them with the skill that I had back then, I beat them like easily, and that's normal. You know, when you beat a game like so many times, Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, you're beating them easily. Now the AI is trying to trick you when it feels like it's losing. It wants to do certain cheap shits. And that's just how it is. I think Bethesda was really a good buy for Xbox. I mean, think about it. Bethesda and Xbox have been working together for years. They've been just working together secretly, pretty much. And it's kind of like what companies do sometimes anyway. They secretly work together, and then if everything works out, then there's no, like, if something doesn't work out, then they don't have to worry about lawsuits or anything. There's no contracts, there's no this and this. It's kind of like, we'll secretly work with you. We're not going to announce that we're working with you. We don't want no relation in case you screw up. Like, if Xbox would have gotten, if Bethesda would announce that if Xbox was actually working with Bethesda during Fallout 76, and they announced that, that would have been a whole backlash on Xbox as well. Especially if it was going to be especially if the Xbox made an IP exclusive. That would have killed Xbox's reputation big time. Because the backlash for that game was really bad. Now that Xbox is coming in, it makes it look more like they're the hero than it does make it look like they were the villain. And Bethesda's still on their own. They're not incorporating because I think that was a safe bet that they still should say that same way in case Bethesda does make a mistake like that again. But Bethesda has done really well, and I think that was for as many years they've been out. I think 76, even though I don't think it was that bad of a mistake that they did 76 with, I think that what really made it bad was all the YouTubers and every media outlet just like killed them and made it out more than what it was. But you got to remember, Bethesda's been out for years. Back when the predecessors of Xbox even came out. So, I mean, for one game to go bad, you're gonna know it's gonna go bad. I think Nintendo had some bad games back in the day. It just didn't work out like them. You remember the Superman game that came out for Nintendo?
What?
The Superman game that came out for Nintendo?
Oh.
That was horrible. It's kind of like what the engine that they use now for like Spider-Man, but it was just so bad. It was a good game. I mean, I loved it because everybody was a fan of Superman. But I think, you know, it's just like other games as well. Like, there's companies out there that are making, they rush games. And with that being said, it was
it's like that one guy that was about rushing games. It's like that one guy, remember we were watching him? He rushed a game.
Yeah. Remember E.T. when it came to like movie games? And that's the reality of it. Like, the E.T. Nintendo's fault was for E.T. itself. That was really bad. I think it was it Nintendo that made E.T.?
No, it was.
What was it come out for Nintendo?
It was an Atari or something?
Atari? No, it was supposed to come out for Sega.
Or Sega or something?
Something like that. I think I need to look up that. But there was one guy who created a movie, but the company was so pushing them to make it by holiday 2020, only gave them 6 months to make the game, and most of those games came out maybe once a year. You know what I mean? They weren't like what they are now, coming out like. Most of those games took like 2 to 3 years to make before they came out with them. And, but they were pushing him to make E.T., and E.T. just crashed. It was such a dud game, all because they tried to make PR for it, and they didn't really respect the fact that the gamers and the creators had to make it. And so he made a game, and it just really killed him. And he was like a big game developer for a major time. So, you know, with everything with Fallout 76 being rushed, and I think everything that's been going on since the last generation of consoles, a lot of developers have been under pressure to make games nearly impossible to do the impossible and push to do the impossible, and then come out that we were expecting a great game, and then now they're starting to realize, okay, now we need to push 76, or now we need to push Cyberpunk 2077. Now we need to push back. Because we can't just rush these games anymore. I think now the companies, head honchos, or people who are asking for these, what do they call them? The investors are now realizing that they can't just do that anymore. And with today's technology, it's going to look so obvious if a game comes out bad. I think that 76 was a blessing in disguise. It was opening an eye up to a lot of investors and other gamers. It opened up a lot of investors into the gaming world and say, okay, well, you can't just treat gaming like a normal business you do with another corporation for, you know, toys, or you're selling, you know, distributions and all that sort of stuff. You've got to take it easy and do it right. And especially, I think with Cyberpunk 2020, they're definitely doing it right, because freaking putting Keanu Reeves, who's like a multi-millionaire right now, behind his name, behind that game, is a big no-no if they fuck it up. It's going to be a bad backlash. So, you know, they are crunch timing it, but I'm going to tell you, I'm sorry. Xbox has branded themselves, yes, but I think they've also branded themselves as a company inside, and they've shown that by trying to buy out everything and then make nothing left for their competitors. And that's what they do. They buy out everything. Microsoft is known to do that. They buy out everything or buy out their competitors, and they make it to where there's no competition. And then it wasn't until Bill Gates did that exact same thing to Apple that then Bill Gates then had to bail Apple out and realized that he needed the competition. That by killing the competition, or not letting him have a win ever, is what's killing his stock market. And so that's what's happening with Sony and
Oh shoot.
Uh, Microsoft. But I think what it is that Sony and Microsoft, because they're two different countries now, and there are, I mean, Sony's been out longer than them, so it's not like they can just brush them out. And a lot of their IPs, like when people are saying like Sonic's being bought up by freaking Microsoft, or Capcom's being bought up by Microsoft. No, Sony will never let that happen, because Sony would be the first ones to get it anyway, because Sega and Sony were the originals before anywhere else. Nintendo and the consoles that were built around for Sega games were built around Nintendo and what was it? Nintendo and Sega. And Sony, PlayStation. They were not built for these ones. You know, they're not built for. Microsoft didn't focus on those. They really didn't. Now you can play them on Microsoft, and they got great engines for it, but it's not going to be the same nostalgia feel you had when you first opened that game. And when you're talking about letting people play retro games, it's a reasons a lot that we can't get some of those retro games anymore because of the licensing issues, music copyright issues with Japan, or certain things that they made, contracts they made, and Sony can't just do it. And maybe not now, but they can definitely do it later if they get a hold of those people. Some of those people don't even exist anymore. Some of those companies don't even exist because they've either been bought out or been underbranched, and they have been. A lot of it. If you look at Xbox, says that Bethesda is the savior to their console, but reality is okay. The Dreamcast, yes, they work with them on that, but think about it. Where's the Dreamcast now? The Dreamcast was a great console at the time, but the Dreamcast died because of what Microsoft did with their last IP, with their trust issues with Nintendo. So, if you really look at why it died, it goes back into a lot of hidden stuff that nobody's revealing because they don't want to reveal it. It looks bad on Nintendo, and it also looks bad on Microsoft. Because Dreamcast was kind of like a savior to their Sega, to their Nintendos. Because the Nintendo was being bought so bad with, see, that's the thing. Microsoft likes to come in when companies really hurting and be the savior hero. So when consoles were being, yeah, and that's true. Sony did put them out of business, and that's because, well, Sony also did disc versions, and they were the first one to do it. So, of course it would be Sony putting them out of business, because back then, people were really, okay, you gotta look at the buying people now compared to back then. People back then, if you had, like, WoW, they were pretty good with WoW. They were already ready, either Sony or before console wars even gone. I think a lot of people didn't realize how dedicated and loyal some of these fans were. I mean, it took a lot to even get people coming from Nintendo or even from Nintendo to even go to Sega. And I think what only helped with that is because of the arcades. And then it took a lot, especially harder for Sony to even get them over from there. Sony, to get their fans, they worked super hard. And it wasn't until Dreamcast came out that Sony realized they had competition. They put them out of water because Dreamcast wasn't revealing what Sony could do. That too. And I get that, yeah, that too. But Dreamcast had it as availability, but I think Dreamcast should have been waited a little bit later. Like if Dreamcast would have came out now, that would have been awesome. But because the one thing about Dreamcast that separated every other game apart is that you could put your cartridges in your controller, which was a unique idea. And that opened up doors for a lot of the stuff that now Nintendo's able to do, with their Switch. That opened up the door for how they got their consoles out for Nintendo and what they were able to make with the Wii U. So it did have its fame, but Microsoft went too far with Dreamcast, and that's what they're not telling you. Microsoft went too far with Dreamcast, and even Sony, and they didn't push it right, and Sony ate the floor with them. Yeah, that's true, and I give you that. Yeah, and that was what Microsoft does. I'm sorry to say that, but Microsoft does that. They take other ideas and they make it better, and then they try to put it as their own. And I know that. And that's the sad thing. It's true. I mean, I'm sorry to say this, but Microsoft has been scandalous. And that's my point. I think the one thing they do wrong is they take others' ideas, they wait till a company is hurt, and then they try to go out and buy them and save them. They did it for they tried to do it for Sega, they did it for Dreamcast, they did it for a lot of them, and that's the reason. If Microsoft would have had the IPs, let's look at it this way. If Microsoft could have got Capcom, it would have been done, and IPs would have been bought by the time the company would have been bought by the time they launched Dreamcast. I'm sorry, but that's not the case. No one trusts Microsoft, and that was the reality in the 90s, and that's still the reality to this day. I think if you ask some people, yeah, no one really trusts this Microsoft company because they've had some shady practices in the past, and those shady practices go beyond just their gaming consoles. Those go on to their phones, their computers, and how they handle their business deals. And that's why I think a lot of Sony players is really upset with Bethesda, because they don't want Bethesda betraying Sony. Betraying Sony by not putting their IPs out. And I'm gonna give you that. I would be pissed too, because that company should be left alone. They're a good company without them anyway. It's nice to have an umbrella, but I think that company's helping them out more than they are helping them out. Does it make sense? Microsoft is getting so much shit on their store now because of this shit for launch date, because they couldn't even get Halo out right. And I get that PS5 is having some struggles, but you can't even launch your prime game that you've been launching for 4 years. Every launch console, you've never had any issues, and now you can't launch that one game? A game. We're not talking about a console, we're talking about a game. And you can't launch it right, and that's where Microsoft comes in at. They're good when it comes to numbers. They're good when it comes to freaking business deals. They're good when it comes to all this other stuff. They're bad when it comes to the actual gaming community. They're just bad. I'm sorry. They don't work good with the developers. They have issues with the developers. They push too much. They don't understand the concept of gaming. They understand the concept and graphics of it from their PCs, and that's the only thing that's been able to do it. True. It is the best move they could have done, because if they announced that, if they would have announced, I'm not going to say this, their game, I'm not saying that they made a bad move by moving it over. I'm saying that, or delaying it, I'm saying that they couldn't get it right. Their own IP for the last, what, 2016? No, 2012, 2006? When the Xbox came out? Or 2000, whatever? Since Xbox. Okay, yeah, now, their PC gaming was flawless. And that's what made PC gaming so great. But you're talking about going from a PC to a console, which is two different things. It was an area where Xbox has never dabbed into. It's kind of like when Microsoft wanted to make a phone, and their phones don't really sell. Oh, okay. So let's be honest on that. But their PC gaming is what they knew, and with a PC, you're able to go far beyond what you're able to do in a console. And we all know that. So, they didn't have that same respect for the consoles when they went into it. They thought an opportunity, like they always do. Yes. And I get that. But I also believe that they should have already known that, knowing that they were announcing that they're coming out with the PlayStation Series X years out. You had, what, 2 years? And you not even known that, you also had 4 years. And not only that, you had dev kits out before even Sony did. And you were already showing people how fast your IS system and all that other stuff was out. So there should have been no excuse why they should have had it out on launch day. I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense. You're a developer. Developers have the dev kits. Now, the only difference is, and this is the reason why I think a lot of developers are having issues right now, they say that PS5 dev kits are easier to work with than the Xbox. And that's my point. Like, they make everything sound good, but they're not, you're not showing, you're not hearing the point where they're saying, oh, well, these dev kits suck, we can't do shit, and you want things in timely fashion, here you go. Yeah, and I was too. I bought launch day Xboxes. I bought the collector's editions of Xboxes. I collected Xboxes back in the day. I've been there from every step of the way. Dude, I'm 33 years old. I've been out there. I used to work at a game store. I used to work at Gamer World back in Stockton, California. And I'm going to tell you, dude, we sold all the way from Atari to Xbox. And when games first came out, I was able to get first hands on them. Because I worked at a game store. I'm going to tell you, a lot of the stuff that happened, a lot of the consoles that came in were mostly Xbox issues. Xbox didn't have a really good track record when it comes to their consoles. It isn't until the Xbox One X that came out that actually is doing a lot better. Not even the Xbox One was doing a lot better when it came to their software, their problems, and all that. Sony, and that shows that the history of Sony is because they've been doing it for so long. So when you're talking about a console war, you got to look at all the facts. You can't just look at, okay, great, they're coming out with some great games, more graphics, this and that. Okay, then go buy a computer. You're talking about a console that you're paying $500 for, that you expect to last. You're expecting to last till next gen. You're expecting to already have games put out for next gen. You have so many games coming out for Sony right now that are future-proof for developers already have future-proofed them for Sony, for the PS5. And yet, the only thing you can get is Game Pass. And hope that they can remaster it, and to make the graphics, and all the computer's doing, the console's doing is pretty much reamping your system to those program files to make them look good on PS5 or Xbox. I'm sorry, but your exclusive game that's supposed to be Xbox Series X exclusive, the one game that's supposed to show the meaning of your console is being delayed a year after the fact. That don't sit right with me. If I was the owner of Microsoft right now, I'd be pissed. I'm like, well, you should have had this done. This should have been the game you guys should have built this game on. If you're going to announce it as a launch title, you should have built the Xbox with this game in hand, already trying to be built alongside with Xbox, and you would have never had an issue. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, and I get that. It was sad looking, and I get that. But that was the reason, the result of why they did everything so late. That's my point. Microsoft seems to put out so much and saying how bad other companies are. And they talk so good, but then when it comes out to the one thing that consoles have always done for years, is when they launch a console, there's always an IP there, a number one IP. And their number one IP is always available on launch date. You look at Sony right now, they got Spider-Man coming out on launch date with IP. Sony fans are pissed about some things. I get it. Don't be mad. But at least there's an IP there. When Halo came out and they announced Halo on E3, before E3 ever came out, they literally made it seem like it was going to be ready by launch date and to put shame on PS4, Ps5. And when they went to backfire that, no one's talking about how a company's supposed to do that. No one, this is the first time in history that I've ever seen a console now have an IP, their IP, ready to go that they announced for launch date title, not ready to go a year after. Unless it was like from like Microsoft, Nintendo days. And that was a really embarrassment too. Remember that one game? I can't remember what it was, but it was so bad. It was a game. But yeah, I mean, we know that when the launch games come out, there's gonna be bugs. We know that. But to not pre-done that game when they had the technology to do it for 2 years ago, dude, I was sitting at my house in Stockton 2 years ago watching a YouTuber go to Microsoft and was able to take the console apart, put it together, and also show how well Forza and he can switch from Forza to another game fast. Yet he could not, they could not get Halo already in production, or at least couldn't be made, and made to the specs of that console already, that was already sitting in their company. That's what I'm saying, dude. I'm a fan of Halo. I love Halo. I've been waiting for a good Halo to come out, and I played Halo. At the same time, I'm mad at Microsoft for not treating their IP with respect. And that's what separates them from Sony, Capcom, Nintendo, Sega, or any other company that comes out with IPs. That's what separates them. Microsoft always will be a computer platform. When it comes to their console, all they got on consoles, other consoles, and the only reason why they've been winning for the last 4 years is because the One X did better than the PS4 in graphics. And PlayStation didn't do anything, or Sony didn't do anything to announce it on the console till the year. Yeah. Now, if Sony would have came out with their console back then, I'm pretty sure it would be in the same conversation, would be completely different. But Sony would have left the floor with them, and Xbox would have been killed out. And I think to save face, Sony didn't really have a plan to making another console anyway, until they were pressured to. And if you look at recent events, they were pressured to make this console, because they were told that consoles will go out of business, and that would have killed Sony right there. Sony's #1 sellers are not their TVs, they're their consoles. They're like, they make more on their consoles than anything. Not their consoles, but they do make more on their games for Sony. And if the PS4 never updates the games, they would lose half their IPs and all that, and Sony wouldn't exist when it comes to console gaming anymore. And that's the reason why I think Sony decided to say, okay, you know what, we're gonna make a console. It's not gonna be the greatest. You want more specs? Here you go. But you're not gonna get a lot of storage space. There you go. That's what you wanted. I think over the years, Sony has always tried to balance the two, and people are just upset about that. It's great that we're seeing the next-gen console. What I like about this is that Sony is thinking about next-gen as well. They future-proofed it. Devs can actually go in there and make easier things. Xbox needs to show me more that they actually care about their IPs. I'm sorry. They need to care about their companies that they work with. They need to not stop trying to shove money out and start shoving out publicity. And stop hiding the facts that they're not being crooked behind the scenes. And they are. I think that's the reason why Sony fans, as much as I hate to say this, they're mad about, because they're worried that Bethesda will now be restricted to only do IPs for them. And if you read their contract, or read what they're stating, it's signed the contract, and they're saying they're leaving them alone, but then here's the kicker. Announcements were made that they were only going to be games based on base-by-game basis, which solely means that they're not breaching their contract if they say that they're making all the IPs go to Sony or Xbox. So if it's based by game basis, then it's going to be, well, based by game basis means like this game, oh, okay, we're going to go with Xbox. Sorry, Sony. Okay, next year. Sony. Sorry, Sony. Xbox. So that's why people are scared. I think they're more scared than pissed off in the first place, because Bethesda has been one of the great games to play on the PS5, and the games look amazingly awesome. Now, most people don't realize this when it comes to contracts. When they buy a company has to honor all contracts that was previously made. They have to honor them till the contracts are over. Therefore, they couldn't touch the PS5 games that came out on launch days with the PS5, because those were already in motion before Sony made their contracts with them, decided to buy out. And now it's their sellout date. So, buy them out. So, that's the only reason why they made face on that. That's how they've been working. And that's the same strategy they've used when it came to Apple. That's the same strategy that they used when it came to freaking Sony and other companies they've used for other ones they wanted to come out. And they're kind of been an umbrella, but really it's helped the Game Pass. If Halo, you guys were we were so embarrassed by Halo. Think about it. If they had no IP and Game Pass didn't buy Bethesda, where would Xbox be standing right now against the console wars for PS5? Think about it. You think Microsoft is really fair? Look at Sony's and I'm gonna say the facts. Look at Sony's technology in their cheapest console for PS5. I think it's the Sony PS5. What? The S version? Or what is it? It's their $300 cheaper console. You look at the
S.
No, it's not the S.
That's the Xbox.
Xbox. The cheapest console still has all the same technology as PS5 without the freaking disc drive. That's it. So you're not losing graphics. You're not losing this. You're only paying $100 difference, which is not bad. I mean, but then again, Xbox comes out with a totally different thing and says, okay, well, we know you can't afford a lot, but we don't care about you getting all our graphics. We prefer you to buy our Xbox anyway. And here's where you're going to lose all the low-end people who say, okay, well, I just want to play Xbox, but I don't have the money. But then here, why am I getting shunned out? And that's not fair. And I think, honestly, if they really cared about their customers, they would have made the Xbox S just as powerful as the Xbox X, and especially more powerful than the Xbox One X. I mean, it shies that motherfucker. Like, literally, the One X is still better. You're better just keeping your One X. If you're gonna get the S. It's not worth it. I'm sorry, the XS is not worth it. And you look at the graphics on the console of that shit, and it's not worth it. And this is where I'm saying I'm biased. Because Sony did one thing right. They didn't look at the price, they looked at the customer. And that's what Sony's always have done. Sony listens, even though they're cracked out about it, but sometimes they don't listen, sometimes they have to do certain things like this. I mean, prime example why Nintendo didn't listen to freaking everybody else when they said Steve. They have to make business deals. You know, there has to be some things for businesses. But Xbox could have totally made the Xbox XS just as powerful as the Xbox One X without the disc drive and done the exact same thing for the same price. And they chose not to. Because Xbox likes to take these companies and up their stuff and make it more expensive than what it is and make it seem like they're the next new technology in the gaming system, that they're the next gen. And they're not. They're losing that war right now, because if that was the case, they would have been able to make their One X have more graphic and everything else, or the XS had everything that the One X did, Series X did, and still have a cheaper price console. And Sony beats them in that, because Sony has the technology to always make small gaming devices. They've always been able to make powerful things and small things. When you look at the Switch and Nintendo, owned by Japan. In Japan, it's a powerful console. It's somewhat powerful. I mean, it's not as powerful, but it's powerful enough to still play the games you want to play and still get some very good details and still be in a small device. And that's where Sony thrives. And Xbox requires on bigger stuff. And that's what the problem with it. I think they could have done a lot better with the One XS. And they chose to cheap out. Because Xbox believes that once people are already buying their stuff, that's all they're going to have. And they're preying on that. And it's just a bad practice. I mean, if you're really going to care about your customers and you want customers to get value for their money, you're going to put in that money to make sure they get it. Or a little bit more. And that's where I stand on that. I'm sorry, but in this year's console, they did bad. I think Xbox really did bad. Even though Sony's doing just as bad with certain things, Xbox is just as bad. If you watch my earlier video about how Sony's messing up by not announcing, we don't even know if we're even going to get a console on launch day. That's scary. Because, because I'm not talking about delays, I'm talking about because of the software. And I think, yes, you guys are fans of Xbox too, but when it comes down to it, what comes down to the console wars is how well they pursued, how well they got their IPs out, how well the games came out, how well and easy they've been easy to get to pre-orders for the launch date. All those things are a different number of demographics than it is when you're just playing the console. And then once you get the console, then you start making the debate on which console was better. And that's a totally different thing. And it isn't until after like a month or two after we all get our hands on the console, do we actually really know which console really made it better that year, or for that next gen. And that's because the numbers will show. We actually have numbers, we actually have more accurate numbers, but Microsoft has been saying, oh yeah, we have these things, and they don't have it. You know, everyone was hyped when they knew that they needed to rely on Halo to now their new console. Because they knew the minute Sony came up with their console, it was going to eat their floor with them. So, the 12 teraflops, yeah, I mean, it's faster, that's what everybody wants, that's great. But reality, it reads graphics a lot better, but, they didn't really listen to their customers when it came to how they promote their stuff. They don't care about the devs. They didn't care about the devs for future-proofing it either. So there's no way to future-proof it. I mean, the devs have a hard time making the games for them, and that's going to put a lot back on games. I see a lot of games going to be delayed, continue to be delayed, because devs just can't get past that, their response for the Xbox. Even though they love Xbox. And some people do, and I love Xbox too. I'm not saying I don't, but yeah. I don't know, what do you think?
I mean, like I said, I like both.
Yeah.
I don't have nothing bad to say about either.
It's weird. It's weird that, you know, he brings up good facts though. Jack, still, you gave up good facts. I give you a shout out. Thank you for the good talks, but yeah, dude. I know. I feel the same shame you feel right now. I'm ashamed of Xbox itself, just general right now, because they can't get their shit together. And that, if you have to rely on Bethesda to boost your only thing you have left with Game Pass, that's it. It shows that you don't have anything, and that's an embarrassment. So, and they know that. That's why they're trying so hard to bag on Sony about how, oh, we'll get our console out earlier, we won't have this issue. Yet they did too. They had it the same thing. Bots, they were bought out. Everything was bought out. No one was able to get Xbox. I mean, game stores were bought out. You know, Xbox had a very hard time controlling their online orders too. So, you know, all the crap talking they're talking about each other, Sony and just needs to stop. Sony and Xbox need to stop crap talking each other and just start focusing on improving their own shit. And that's reality. I think, honestly, that is reality. And if you look at Angry Joe, I watched one of his videos. Do you ever remember how he was there for the launch date of the last Xbox One X? And he opened up about open politics of what the Xbox would happen. And eventually what happened was Xbox didn't like his response, what he did on live television, and they decided to can him from the program. And if that's how Microsoft works, that just shows that they care more about their public ratings than they care about actual truth. They can't take responsibility for their actions. They can't take this, and that shows that kind of company they are. And, you know, it's kind of like what Twitch is doing to Dr. Disrespect, I think. Where Dr. Disrespect is one of the biggest players, and they can't afford them, so they ban them. Or they try to find things that can, you know, mess with people. Reality. But yeah, I think honestly, dude, like, there's a lot of corporate things going on in the background that people are just so blinded, and I think the only reason why we don't notice it as much as Microsoft versus Apple is because when it comes to gamers, they're so focused on the games and the quality of the content and the consoles, and they're not worried. They're not so they don't have a chance to look on the behind the scenes as much as we did when it came to the laptops and stuff like that. Computers weren't. Yeah, the next generation was up there, but everybody was watching more stocks back then. Everyone was watching more, was able to pay attention more behind the scenes deals, back deals, and things like that. And that's why I think Sony and Microsoft has been getting away with a lot of stuff that they haven't been able to do. They weren't able to do in the 90s or the 80s, and that wouldn't have been called out as fast. Yeah, media has been kind of crunching on it, but not as much as they could have been. I mean, it just doesn't look right. I mean, do you think Microsoft has a... If you look at the history of Microsoft, honey, did you ever remember how well they screwed over Apple? Did you ever hear that?
No, I didn't know about that.
You didn't know that? He screwed... Oh my god, so he screwed over Apple. Microsoft pretty much derailed Apple. No, listen. I'm gonna give you a story. So, Microsoft derailed Apple. I know, I don't care. Microsoft derailed Apple, right? When they derailed Apple, they derailed Apple to the point where he purposely ran him out of business. He literally just killed Apple to the point where Apple needed a loan or needed some money to bail out. He pretty much, Bill Gates came in later and stole pretty much his ideas. And tried to, like, you know, steal his ideas, and then also steal his Windows idea. That, what's his name, created. They were both partners at the time. Eventually, yeah, he came out later, and then finally, it wasn't until Microsoft went on his own, Bill Gates went on his own, and then freaking killed Apple out, pretty much killed him, to where Apple needed money, and then all of a sudden, Apple had to get to make their new Macs, had to get bought out by remember those Macs that came out when with the purple and blue background shit crap, what kind of glass crap?
I don't remember, yeah.
Those little ones, the little Apple computers, the ones desktops where they look like they're clear, but they had like colors in the back on them. Remember those in school? Did you ever get those?
I'm trying to remember those.
Well, either way, those apples were bought out by... Those apples only existed because of the fact that Microsoft came in later. Bill Gates said he was going to put money towards the company, and people didn't like that. It got so booed. He got more booed on stage. No one liked Bill Gates for a while because he did a lot of bad stuff. He was just crooked when he first came out. And that's what the team practices they still do to this day. And that's what I'm talking about, and that's what he was talking about too. But none of that. The point is getting into Xbox or Ps5. Sony needs to up their game, and I think that's the reality of it, right? And I'm excited for Sony. I can't wait for my consoles to come out. I got Xbox and Sony PS5 pre-order. So, yeah, and it's not like I'm not trying to get the Xbox either. I want to get both. I also want to compare both side by side. I got Valhalla for Xbox and
Valhalla.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla for Xbox and PS5, just so that way you guys can see a comparison of what is what. And I plan on having that recorded. Now I'm gonna have to record that through a phone, me playing them and having somebody look at the screen of the phone. But reality is, it's gonna show you right there, side by side, how they work. And I think honestly that's gonna introduce you to what's gonna show you. So I'm not sitting here just bagging on an Xbox fan. I have Xbox pre-ordered as well. I love fans, and I think fans in general of Xbox are going to be upset by Halo, and they're happy that they moved them, and that was a smart move. I mean, that was the only move they really had, to be honest, because if they would have launched that, but doesn't mean that their consoles are any better. Doesn't mean that they're winning the console war, or they're losing the console war. It just means that they're having issues, and reality is they are losing console wars. Because they don't have an IP to go with it. And Bethesda bailed them out. Bethesda bailed them out. It wasn't the other way around. And if Xbox tries to swing it that way, that's not true. Bethesda really bailed them out. If it wasn't for Bethesda, they wouldn't have no games to launch on date, right? So, yeah. That's just reality. They looked for a bailout. And that's what happens when they burn bridges. And they have. Anyway, so yeah, well you didn't say much, no thoughts on me. So you need to
I just want to play games, that's it.
So you use my videos to play games? I'm so sad right now.
I don't have to be recording by you to play video games.
Yeah, well, all I was trying to do was get a conversation with you.
Oh. And I
games.
did, I put your input.
You put my input?
I mean, I put my input.
You put my input?
I got your and my input, okay?
No, but it's all love here. I mean, we love each other and things like that. We both have our opinions. I don't know. What is your opinion on everything?
My opinion?
What would you choose if you had to choose between Xbox and PS5?
I couldn't.
Why?
Because I like playing games in general. It didn't matter what console I had.
See, that's an old school response. Because think about it. Back in, I think before the console wars happened.
You gotta think. The first time I ever got my hands on a console, the very first time, even before my dad bought me a Super Nintendo, it was the Genesis with my cousins. I think it was a Genesis or a Sega. You're younger than me. I want to say I was 7 or 6. Something like that. No, I was a little older than that.
You weren't there when Nintendo first.
No.
You were playing Nintendo. The first NES and all that.
The first thing I touched that was my own console was a Super Nintendo.
Oh wow.
But, well, that's because I guess it was too young, or my dad wasn't, I don't know. That was the first console my dad bought us.
Yeah.
I knew about the Sega or whatever, the Genesis, because of my cousins had it.
Yeah.
So I played Duck Hunt on that. And I played Mario on that. Where it was like little cubes or whatever. You know, the pixel versions.
Yeah.
That's the first games I ever played.
So, when I went to, what I'm going to say is that back in the day, most people didn't care what game you played on. It was more about what game was coming out and how new it was and how much it was going to challenge you. Those were the thoughts back then in the old console wars. I think in the new console wars now, it's all about what console you play on, how you play on this. And that's like the new thing. I think, honestly, that's why I'm still the same way you were.
Honestly, I think this whole console war thing is stupid. But
then again, it's what people are talking about, and it's what it's came to now. I mean, face the facts. It's kind of like when Hollywood had to realize when they had to change some things in Hollywood. What was talking about things they would never do in the first place. That wasn't about when first Hollywood came out. That wasn't how they ran Hollywood back in those days. But they had to change it now. And it's just because times have changed. Newer age people, younger than me, are more worried about what console's better, and how they beat themselves up is why what console's better. It's not, you know.
Thanks for making me feel old.
Yeah, I know, right? I feel like older than you. Shut up, I'm older than
You
you.
are older. You're like, what, 43?
Wow! Wow! Ouch! See, this is the love I get. Do you see that? You see that?
All this facial hair.
This is the love I get.
All this hair right here. Oh, they're starting to white out right here too.
You're gonna
Look
get
at
banned from YouTube. Watch.
Why am I gonna get banned?
I don't know. Hate speech.
That is not hate speech.
You never know hate speech.
That is not hate.
Call me old.
You are old though. You're not young anymore.
So,
I mean, you
no.
got back problems. That says a lot about you.
You gotta turn on my dirty laundry on television, don't you? There is no secrecy here. You guys, sorry, I just hired the paparazzi to go on my TV show. Here, YouTube. Any paparazzi want to come on? Come live. I'm live next Friday. For Black Desert.
What do you need a paparazzi for? You got me.
I get all my dirty laundry.
I could just tell everyone everything if I wanted to.
Oh my gosh.
And it's for free. Free information. They don't have to pay me.
No, but back when you made a good point. Back in those days, it didn't matter what console you had.
You just
Well,
cared
kinda
about
did.
having fun. No,
You
I
cared
didn't
about having
care.
fun.
I
Well,
didn't care at that moment if
you
Sega
cared
was
about
out,
it.
if
If you
this
didn't
was
have it,
out,
then you couldn't play it.
N64,
Well, no, if
GameCube.
you didn't have it, you couldn't play it because all of them were IP to that console. So if you didn't have it, you were
Oh, I
hoping you
cared
had it.
more about
So
not
it was
having
more
it,
about
yeah.
you wish you had it, but it wasn't like which console was better.
No.
It was more like
Do
you
I have it or
wanted all
not?
of them because you wanted to play all of them. Otherwise, you didn't have it. Otherwise, you had to go to the arcade, and the arcade was slowly dying out anyway. So it was the point where if you didn't have, it was more like if you didn't have it, you weren't cool. You could have Nintendo, but if you didn't have Sega, then you weren't cool. And it wasn't until I think later on that people started actually really caring about the consoles itself. And that's because Sony and I think Microsoft kind of made that deal when Microsoft came out and pushed that. So Microsoft kind of pushed out the fact that, because think about it, back then when Sony came out with their console, right, the PS2.
You didn't make one goal, Jackson.
Yeah, it is.
No, you didn't.
Oh, maybe I didn't.
I made one goal at least.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm talking.
I still did even when I was
You
talking.
weren't talking.
Yeah, I was. You'd ask me and I'd respond, and I still made a goal.
Okay. Point is being, love you too, honey. The point is being, Microsoft pushed out the fact of the console wars. I think they did that when they pushed their Xbox and Sony became that. Because if you look at that, Sony didn't really have much competition between Sega anymore. Sega was dying out. Nintendo was dying out. And so Sony was kind of like the god almighty of their consoles at the time. And then Xbox decided to come out to make competition. And I think in the back deal of it, that's what they wanted, because think about it, their stocks go up every time there's a console war. Even for 2 years, when the amounts of a next gen console for Xbox and now their stocks skyrocket 2 years before it even happens. They skyrocket. Yeah, they do. The minute you announce that they're having a new console, oh my god, everybody's in it. Everybody's buying new games. People are going out spending money again. People are saving money. Look how many people saved up money this time for 2 years.
Yeah.
Think about it. People saved 2 years for their consoles, and they're expecting to buy more than just one console. I guarantee they're going to buy more than one console like they do every year in the store on launch date or to pre-order. You're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars that could have gone into these consoles, and they didn't do it because of COVID, and limited stock. But reality is, that's how much money they collect just going in these consoles. That's how much money they get in their stocks. And the more the money they make, the more they sell, more stock people, more investors buy into them, more people want to go into them. So they don't make their money off. Yeah, they technically make money off consoles. They make about $20 off each console. I think Sony does. I don't know how much Xbox makes. But I know when it comes to their stocks, every time they announce new consoles or they're about to have new consoles or new games, their markets is hit, especially title games. And investors start getting more. They're able to pull more investors in. They're able to. I think investors are even trying to battle to get spots into Xbox even now these days, and Sony. So it's it makes sense. I mean, we're seeing a trend, but that's where they're making their money, is in the stock market. Now, if they're going to be able to keep this up after COVID, I don't know.
What do we know with COVID?
I know. And I think, honestly, a lot of people don't realize this. I need to cover this. But I think the reason why we're getting charged extra money for the games on Sony is because some of them have been hit with tariffs. And Japan, unlike Microsoft, Microsoft is located here in the States. They've been state branded, they've been all this, they don't have to worry about tariffs in the US market. But when it comes to Japan, they do. So, I think that's why we're being hit with the, yeah. So that's the one thing people...
So you have to pay $10 more?
I think so. It's not because of the new software, it's just because they can't afford to keep going.
Well, no, look at how I was telling you one of my friends from Bose. He lost his job.
They lost hell of shit out here.
Because of the tariff thing.
Yeah, what do you mean? Bose closed, didn't he?
Some of them did.
Aren't they strictly online, though?
No, some of the stores did, not all of them.
Why didn't they transfer him?
What, transfer him? I don't know.
They could have just transferred him.
Maybe it would have been in that area, and that could have been the only one that was there.
What the hell? No, I mean, like, maybe he could have moved to another state and...
Another state? Where's he gonna move to?
Anywhere. As long as they're offering him pay. The way he was getting paid, he could have afforded it.
Really.
I mean, he was manager for, like, what? Yeah, but as you grow up in the company, you get more...
Yeah, but when he became manager is when the whole COVID thing...
Yeah, but then he's living in the most expensive state ever.
City, state, yeah.
City, state ever doing Bose. Okay? If he would have moved in any other state, he would have been able to
He was trying to get over here, but...
Bose wasn't here?
No, it's all the way in Dallas.
Oh, he didn't want to live in Dallas?
No.
Why?
I don't know.
Probably a good thing he didn't go, because COVID's a bitch over there right now.
That's another thing that stopped it.
That's really what stopped him.
Because when COVID hit, it was around the end of January and February, remember?
Yeah, when they started really shutting down things.
And then Cali kept debating on whether they were going to lift the ban or not, the lockdown. That's why. There was no point in him. Anyways, unlike some people, I have other things I have to do.
Yeah, she has to go get the laundry, so...
So you can continue.
We'll continue and she'll be back. But yeah, I don't know. Just a big thought. But further ado, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to end the stream. I think I've said enough. As I said, I'm going to repeat this. I got no ill against both consoles. I think they're both going to be great consoles when they do come out. How they're handling it, I think the both companies have a lot to work on. And how they're handling their games, both companies have a lot to work on. So, there's flaws in everything, and that's to be expected. This is 2020, and everything's being rushed because of COVID, and they're trying to get everything out for 2020.
And delayed, too. Rushed and delayed.
Oh, yeah. Well, because the thing is, they're trying to rush as many as they can out, and during COVID, saying COVID guidelines so they don't get shut down. It's horrible. So, I would expect to see us in our consoles being specially wrapped by special wraps. Nobody coughs on it or something. It's COVID. This has not been touched by COVID. We promise. Stamped right there on your PS5 or X5.
Oh my god.
I would laugh if they did that. That would be hilarious. Oh my god, that would just make my day.
It literally did right now.
I'm sorry. I'm being bad. I need to stop.
You know, this is the reddest I've ever seen you. Hold on. Move over this way so everyone else can see it. You're all red right here. This is the reddest I've ever seen.
Man. Oh my god. Hey, YouTubers, if you got a PS5, let me know if you did get a COVID stamp on it. I solemnly swear, we'd never let COVID touch this console. Oh man, that's bad. I'm probably gonna get banned.
And you talk about me.
Oh, man.
You can't say nothing about me now.
I can't say shit anymore. Guys, this is not gonna be age appropriate. But anyways, it's gonna be age restricted probably. Yeah. So.
If he ever brings up about banning again, if I say something, just remind him that he said this.
Yeah.
I will.
Man, I laughed so hard I got hiccups now.
And no, it's not because you're hungry, so don't pull that.
I'm hungry.
No, you're not. If you are, go feed yourself. Because I already fed you.
Oh, man.
No, you know why you had the hiccups? You let too much air in.
Yeah, I did when I laughed. I was dying too much. Excuse me. Yeah, but anyways, announcements. Starting Tuesday, it's going to be Call of Duty Tuesday. Now, I'm not going to call it Modern Warfare Tuesday because by next year, I don't know what Call of Duty I'm going to be playing. I may shiper between the two. But right now, I'm focusing on my Game Pass. What was it? Black Desert Fridays. I'm trying to say that right so I don't get freaking eat up by, you know, the other side.
Hold your breath for 10 seconds.
Black Desert Fridays is going to be announced. Now, starting next month, the first Tuesday of the month, I am going to be giving a giveaway. This giveaway is going to be an Xbox gift card and a Ps5 or PlayStation gift card, and it's going to be for $50. And at the end of the month, it'll be the last Friday of the month will be Black Desert Friday, and that will be another gift card chance. How this works is that you have to like the video and put your channel tag or gamer tag, channel tag probably, your channel tag. Like the video and comment below. I'll see your names like I down. And you have to comment below. Don't comment on live stream. Comment below. Don't go into the live chat. Actually, comment below. And like the page. And it only works if that video gets 1,000 likes. And I get 500 subscribers that day. Or from that video.
And you're picking them randomly.
And I'm picking randomly. So I gotta get 500 subscribers. Okay? 500 subscribers. Reach 500 subscribers. And give 1,000 likes to the video. That will help. Now, if that video actually gets me 500 subscribers because of that video, or if by the end of the month I get 500 subscribers, I will do the giveaway for those videos. But that video has to have 1,000 likes on it. And the same goes for the Call of Duty one. So, what dates are those? You would know. You had the phone on you. I don't even know what I'm doing. Oh.
The first is on a Sunday, I think.
The first Tuesday?
Oh, the first Tuesday now. The first Tuesday is the 3rd of November.
3rd of November, Tuesday, 3rd of November is going to be Call of Duty that day. And I'll be streaming and keep you guys up to date every week anyway. Where I'm at with my subscribers, they've gotten 1,000 likes. But yeah. Trying to block it and you couldn't do it. And then what was the last Friday? The last Friday? What would be what, baby? Last Friday of the month?
Last Friday of the month? I think it's the 30th of October. Yeah, it's the 30th of October.
Not this month.
Oh. Next month?
Oh, we're in October.
Yeah.
What's today?
The 4th.
When was the first Tuesday?
For September or October?
October.
The 1st of October was on Thursday.
When's the first Tuesday?
The 6th, next week.
Okay, so my bad. The 6th for next week, I'll be giving out those gift cards. But I'll be showing that we get the gift cards. Hopefully people will do it. So the 6th of November, that video on the 6th has to get 1,000 likes. Now I'll be streaming that from 9 a.m. to 4. That has to get 1,000 likes, and you must comment your name in the video below for that video.
That'd be 93, sweetheart.
93, my bad, 93. And I'm in Central Time, so...
If you're in Pacific, it would be 7 to 1.
Then if you're in Eastern, it would be...
If you're doing 9, then it'd be 10 to 4.
Yeah, this is watching better at this shit. So yeah, it will be live. But yeah, I will definitely buy the gift cards ahead of time, so that way you guys have it, see it, so you know I'm not bone crumping. If they don't get, if I don't get 500 subscribers this month, then we ain't doing it. And 1,000 likes on that video, sorry, but I can't do it. That should give plenty of room for you guys to give time to go on there. You have the whole month to do it, so the whole month to go watch it and build up. Let's see what we can do. This is Legend of All Gamers. Sorry for the hiccups. This is Legend of All Gamers. See you out, and then yeah. So.
It's Legend of All Gamers hiccups.
Yeah, I guess so. I can't speak right now.
Legend of All Gamers.
Sorry, guys. Legend of All Gamers. Peace out. Have a great day. Stay positive and be happy. Okay.